Burnout. It's often caused by mental, physical, even being overworked, emotional stress. But how does it come on? How do you identify it? And more than that, how do you overcome it? Tonight, we're going to be going from burnout to balance. And I am joined by the productivity specialist, is what I'm going to call her, productivity coach, Carla Erskin, also known as the Productivity Chic. Carla is a productivity and success coach who helps women reclaim their time and restore balance using productivity coaching and planning strategies. She is the founder of Bossingly Productivity and Planning Solutions and the Bossy and Balanced movement. As a Dallas native, Carla earned her Master's of Business Administration from Texas Women's University. Carla is a certified success coach, a life strategist, an international speaker, and marketing consultant. Through her membership and product line, she equips women with the tools to add a little balance to their Bossingly lifestyle. Carla, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
How are you tonight?
I am great. I'm great. I cannot wait to get into this topic of burnout and balance. It's my thing.
It is. It is something that's very close and dear to your heart, mainly because of your own personal experience. And we're going to get into that on tonight. And it's always fun. Y'all should know that Carla also is one of my very, very, very good friends. So she's my girl. So let's start talking. Let's jump in because I want to make sure that we cover everything on tonight. So talk to me a little bit about what burnout is and how just generally how you recognize it, and then I want to roll into how it manifested in your life.
Yeah, so burnout is a prolonged overwhelm and stress. And so when you've operated in stress for so long, eventually you get to this place of burnout. And I'm not a doctor, but to me, burnout is when you're at a place where none of your normal stress relieving solutions are working because you've overextended, you've passed the stress threshold, and you're now in burnout. And so some of the signs are, of course, exhaustion, constant physical pain, cynicism, just a lack of enthusiasm about anything. It's kind of like you're walking around in this almost melancholy state, and that becomes like your normal. And those are some of the signs that I've identified for burnout.
So, and you can have just some of the research that I've done and some of the conversations that we've had. A lot of people suffer from work burnout. You can even suffer from life burnout and stress. Just different everyday life can cause you to burn out, such that you need to reset, restart, and get some additional balance. Am I right?
Absolutely. So sometimes when we have a lot on our plate, we're just in go mode, we're in hustle mode, and we don't recognize the signs. We blow right past the signs. We don't take the time off that we needed. We don't decompress, allow our nervous system to reset, and we just keep going because we live in a society that expects that. We have all of these things at our disposal, and we don't know how to unplug from them. And so we just keep going, and then we hit the stress, and then we hit the overwhelm, and then we hit the burnout. And eventually it's going to catch up with you, and your body is going to take the rest and time it needs.
No, that is absolutely true, because I even find myself sometimes I can feel it coming on. And so I try to be intentional about getting rest. But before I went on my journey and really became aware of my body and started listening to my body and start feeling what it felt like to be balanced, I realized that I had hit burnout so many times. I would burn myself all the way down to the point that I would be in bed and just exhausted, and I was overweight, and different parts of my body was hurting and stuff like that, because I was under a lot of stress, and I kept pushing and pushing and pushing, because to stop means you would feel like that you're quitting, and or that you're not giving it your all. And so you don't, especially as women, when we're carrying so many loads. We're and where we've taken on so many roles of mother and businesswoman and daughter and all these different things. You don't even realize your constant moving and going can lead you to that place.
Absolutely. We have this idea that if we do more and achieve more, then that's going to bring us the wholeness that we want. And we do it at the sacrifice of our bodies, mentally and physically. I've heard so many stories about people losing relationships over overworking and being in burnout, and physically strokes, and mental breakdowns, and it and you don't realize that you've been operating in this constant state of burnout until it's often too late, until one of those things start to manifest in your life. And it's, like myself, you end up in the hospital, or you end up, in divorce court, or in those kind of things, because you have just been going and going and going. And the society rewards that, right?
Yeah.
It rewards that overworking, the hustle, and the grind. And, if you're a person who likes achievement, then it's real easy to get.
I mean, real easy. And because I want to talk about, I really want to get a little personal, if you don't mind, and I want to talk about your hospital visit. But when you said, when you were talking a while ago, one of the first things that came to my mind was, I was about to say, being burnt out can actually lead you to divorce court. It wasn't the cause of me going to divorce court, but I remember in my marriage, before I began to get some balance, and then I'm not married now, but in my marriage, like, he would want to be intimate, or he would want to spend time together, but I had been working so much. I had been in so many different roles. By the time that it came to time to give energy to my relationship,
right,
I had nothing to give.
Right.
And it felt like a burden to me. And so that put a real hindrance on our relationship.
Absolutely. I hear stories all the time about women who are going through a divorce. Actually, one woman told me she lost 2 marriages.
Really?
To overworking and burnout. Yes. Because, like you said, when we're in it, we think we're doing the right thing. We're always putting off those relationships. And you said energy. One of the things that we have to be mindful is where we're putting our energy. And if we're not allocating our energy in the right places, that is another thing that leads us to the overwork and the burnout.
And that's one of the tools, because again, Carla is my girl, so I follow her quite a bit. And you do a lot of teaching and working with women, and one of the things that you teach is where you put your energy.
Yes.
So let's step back just a little bit, because you had to, and I always say this, and everybody that sits on this couch with me, we were actually having a conversation on Sunday about the show, and about some of the people, the topics that we have here on the show. And it seems as if all the women end up being some level of business women and stuff. And what we've learned is it's always in the journey that tends to create a story, or there's a business that tends to come out of our mess in our life. Tell me a little bit, share with us, if you don't mind. You yourself, I want to say it was this year.
Yeah.
It was this year. Ended up in the hospital as a result of burnout, and you had to restructure your entire business and your entire life. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I had started out in the business coaching and productivity field, and I had kind of moved into the space of building automation and systems for other business owners. And so I always take like the last 2 weeks, the first week of the year off, so that I can reset my nervous system and, just get some rest. Well, around mid-December, I got a chargeback from a old client, and I wasn't expecting it. And so instead of taking the break that I normally take, I decided to work through the end of the year. Right. And so by January, I noticed my cycle had started like 10 days late, and then it just never stopped. That's a depression. But that could have been because we're not young chickens anymore. No, this was different though. It was different, and it got to the point where I had to go to the emergency room because I was having like lightheadedness. I was having trouble breathing. I thought I was going to pass out, and so I had to get a blood transfusion. I had to enter the hospital, spend the night, get a blood transfusion. But while I was there, I asked God, like, why is this happening to me? And so he just started reminding me of the level I had been operating on for like a year, just like going, traveling.
Yeah,
I was all over
the
the place, Mexico, here and there, working and stuff. And I hadn't allowed myself any downtime. And I didn't take the time that I normally would take. And so, and then after he got me there, he said, you need to get back to what the why of your business is. And that's always been helping women find more time in their lives to create the lives that they want. And so when I left the hospital, I immediately started shutting down the business model that I had, offboarding clients, finishing projects, so that I could start shifting back to what it is that I do now, productivity and success coaching and planning and those things. And it just reminded me that the money can't be the goal.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
about
so,
to
and I had
ask
moved
you.
into that area because that's where the money was good there. And so I was chasing money all the time, the next client, the next invoice. And I just wasn't giving my body the rest that it need. It was constant hustle mode. Yeah.
And so you think you hustle, because you were, I mean, you were all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, here, all over the place. So how did you go about really just restructuring your life? What really did that look like? I'm not talking about not so much your business, but because your burnout affected more than just your business but how did the burnout affect the rest of your life? And then how did you move into a more balanced state? First of all, okay, that was a good question. So hold that question.
Okay, I'm not gonna be able to remember that question, but
okay, well, I'll bring it back. Okay, go ahead and answer it. I don't want to forget
my question. Already. I forgot already.
In the middle of that, I got another good question that I wanted to, because one of the things that we do here, and one of the purposes of Next Level Conversation, is helping women go from chaos to balance. What did your unbalanced life actually look like? I'm not talking about just work, but what did, give me a typical example of your day in this unbalanced state.
One of the things I recognized after the fact, after I got some balance in my life, is that one of the things that was really causing me stress, and I didn't even realize it, is that I didn't have a set schedule.
Okay.
Because I was working for myself. I was waking up when I wanted to, going to sleep when I wanted to, often 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And even though I would sleep, it's something about night rest that's different from, trying to sleep in the daytime. So I would sleep, but I couldn't really get into a deep sleep because I was concerned about, am I missing emails? Am I missing something? And, and so even though I would be asleep, my mind wouldn't be at rest because I would be thinking about business.
So, but to a lot of people, that would be like the ideal schedule,
right.
Able to go to sleep whenever you want to, get up whenever you want
That's
to.
What you think, right? That's what you're thinking for, and for a little while it seems that way. But I didn't realize it until I started keeping a more normal schedule, how much rest I was losing by staying up all night and sleeping a few hours, in the daytime. It's not the same as sleeping at night. We're nocturnal creatures, and it's just something different about getting rest at night. And I wouldn't have been able to say that 2 years ago. I would have been like, no, it doesn't matter. But I realized
and you really were
right. I'm always like that,
and you've always been a night creature,
right?
Because I go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock, except for Wednesday nights, and you will be up. Right. I'm like, don't talk to me. It's too late. Right. And when I will be getting
and I would be going to sleep.
You will be going to sleep. I'm like, I don't understand that.
Right.
But I was like, okay, that works for her. That works for her. So,
and it did for a little while. And when I like I said, until I started keeping a regular schedule, I didn't realize how much it was hurting my body. because I wasn't getting good rest.
So okay, so you weren't getting so your sleep schedule was
Right.
off. What other things did you what other
Eating habits were all over the place because I would work until I couldn't work anymore, till I was like, oh, now I got to stop and get something to eat, and then I would make bad choices because it's, I want to grab something real fast and get back to working. And so that was another thing: my sleeping, my eating. Even like I recognized that I wasn't spending the time in the relationships with my family and my friends that I needed to, missing important dates, missing important events, in the name of I gotta do this client work. I gotta get this workout. I gotta do this. And in the
did you lose a
beginning,
relationship? Did it affect a romantic relationship?
no, I can't say it did. I would make enough time for those to keep those going, but it just became to the point where I was missing out on too many family and friend events.
I recall that time. What about your time spent with yourself? Just that check-in time. Where was that off balance, or did you notice that how what you were doing was affecting that? Because you are a girly girl,
yes,
and you like shopping and getting your toes done and all of those different types of things. So
well, I was still squeezing time for those things, but I wasn't present in my life for healing the way I needed to. And so I wouldn't take the time to relax. All the time thinking of business was always on my mind. So I wouldn't really take the time to just relax or pull back or any of those things. So yeah, I was doing the superficial things, getting my hair done and haircut, nails done, but I wasn't resting. I wasn't journaling. I wasn't spending enough time with God. I wasn't doing the things that give you peace and ground you. And sometimes I would get to the point where I was like, I need to ground myself. And so then I would, put on a sermon or do something to ground myself. But it wasn't a normal routine at all. It was exercise was nowhere in the picture. It was like wake up, work, all the way till I was so exhausted that I couldn't do anything but go to sleep.
But even this came on gradually because you've always been a worker. I mean, working is something you've always done, and you've always had the entrepreneur mindset. Because what you don't know is that Carla is actually also a teacher, and has been for a very long time. So this seems to have come on gradually. This was not a overnight thing. How long? I mean, you think this just happened in that 1 year period? Or do
no,
you think
it started while I was working. Before I took my hiatus from teaching, it started then because when I would get up, go to work, have work, which was causing me stress because I wasn't present at work. And then I'd get off and work on the business until the wee hours of the morning, maybe 2:00.
Okay, so that's where you think you started that habit.
That's when it started, yes.
Habit. Wow, okay. So, and in the midst of this, while you're in the hospital and you're realizing, because I remember these conversations. I remember these. I remember that revelation. So tell us a little bit about that revelation, that moment where God began to speak with you and show you this is what your life is doing. This is what your life looks like, and this is where I want you to go. Tell us about that and how you felt and all of that, because I know how you feel.
Right. So when I asked the question, like, God, why is this happening to me? I immediately got the answer, because you're out of alignment. You're not doing the things that you're supposed to do. You're not operating in where I told you to be. And so I didn't fight it at all. I was like, I got to make a change.
Yeah.
Immediately I decided I got to make a change. And, as soon as I got home, I started, aligning myself to that change and what I needed to do.
So let's talk about that change as we shift gears, because we were going to talk about the different stages, which we've actually gone through the different stages of burnout, which I really thank you for that, and giving a real clear picture of what it looks like. Let's start talking about how you yourself the things that you yourself did in your business and in your personal life, and how you shifted that. And then I want to talk about how you're maintaining that balance.
Right. So when I decided in January, when I decided I needed to shift gears with the business, I knew I was going to take a huge revenue hit. Right. And I knew that. And so I made up in my mind that, okay, I'll go back to teaching. And so I started putting that in place. As I said, I still had a roster of clients I was working with. So I had to start finishing projects, letting people know I wasn't taking new projects, and started to figure out how I was going to create a business that worked with my lifestyle, that didn't cause me to have to be glued to the computer and working all the time.
Did you hire somebody to help you do this, or how stressful was that? Because that making that decision, listening to God and deciding to make that decision, that's pretty huge, because this was your sole income.
Exactly.
That's not an easy thing to do. And
Right.
a lot of people can't do that.
Right.
You know, the fear of it, and how am I going to provide for my family? How did you come to terms with that?
Like I said, I didn't fight it. Once I make a decision, then I move toward it. And that some days that meant driving Uber, driving Lyft, doing what I had to do to shift my lifestyle and to fill in the gap between the time, the revenue stopped coming in from my clients till I knew school was starting. And so it means do what I have to do in between. And so even though I didn't always want to do those things, it was like, I don't want to go driving. But I knew I needed to continue and maintain, pay my expenses and things like that. And so sometimes you have to do things that are uncomfortable in order to get to the end goal of where you want to be.
Did you ever feel like you were taking a step back? No, not a step back, but like you were not being successful, or like I feel like a failure or anything?
Sometimes I would, but it would be fleeting. Okay. Because I know, number one, no one can take away the accomplishments that I have, and that I'm setting myself up for a greater future. And so, you have to go through those uncomfortable times to get where you want to go. And so, when I would get to that point, and mostly it was just me having a pity party, and, right. And so, but then it would go, because I was like, oh, I got something to do. So I couldn't have the party too long. And so I would move on to, what it is I had to do to get to the goal, whether that was, applying for jobs, whatever it was. And I'm thankful that I also had some support from my family and friends and things like that. And because I've been a good steward of my relationships, I could go to different people and ask for help and support.
That is really, really, really good. And you need to build that into your burnout, being a good steward of relationships, because as they say, be careful how you treat people going up, because you may run back into them and need them coming back down.
Absolutely.
And so that was very important. Okay, finish telling me. Okay, so you started rearranging clients. You've been driving Uber, and you went back to teaching full time. How did that feel?
Actually, I was excited about it. I was excited to get back into the classroom. I missed the energy of working with the students and stuff. So I was excited about it, and it's been a good year so far. I like the campus I'm at. The drive is grueling right now, but that's going to be fixed soon. But it's all about mindset, right? It's all about mindset. So I could choose to dread it and hate it and feel like a failure for going back to the classroom, or I could see it as an opportunity. Like I said, I didn't want to keep building a business that was draining me and causing me that kind of stress. And so the business I'm building now, working and teaching, allows me the opportunity to set the foundation and build that into what I want it to be. So, I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, I actually enjoy being on a more set schedule, getting up, being more active, moving around, interacting with people.
To bed at night now?
I do. I do. I'm out.
I don't get text messages
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'm asleep. I have to, because you can't teach tired. You cannot do it. So
So what about so that was your business structure. What about your Carla time, and how did all of that change in some
Yeah.
of the things that you started doing?
I started unplugging more from work. I pulled back from social media. I'm not posting and doing as
Mm.
much with there. Even like I was telling a client today that my newsletters that go out to clients have gone from weekly to monthly. One of my clients, she noticed, she was like, "I haven't gotten an email from you." I said, "I know. That was intentional. I'm intentionally creating a business that doesn't require as much time from me."
Mm.
And so that means, I'm not showing up as often. I'm showing up in a different capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and with the membership, I've created it where I only have to show up a couple times a month, and make posts, a couple times a week. And it's not the grueling hustle of always having to post and always, scouting clients and recruiting and all of those things. So I'm enjoying the downtime from that.
So what does that give you as far as in outside? I'm talking about outside of Carla, the businesswoman,
Hmm.
Carla, the individual.
Yeah.
How has how have you changed and restructured your life, Carla, the
Hmm.
individual, from January
Right.
when you were in the hospital to today?
Right. So I'm able to show up for my family more. I'm able to do more things with my friends. I'm able to just spend some time decompressing.
Mm-hmm.
I spend more time in the Word and listening to sermons and just all the things that I had neglected when I was, in hustle mode.
Mm-hmm.
Even I've started working out more. Making sure I close my rings.
And I mean, you on your eating plans
Yes,
and
so yeah,
everything.
so I've been making changes because when you're on the schedule, you have, and that's one of the things I talk about in my business. A schedule actually gives you freedom.
Mm-hmm.
There's freedom in structure. When you're not structured, you're all over the place, and life is just kind of taking you either way it wants to, and then you don't have the freedom to make decisions that are good for you because you don't know where the day is going to take you.
So let's talk briefly, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience so that they can ask you some questions, because I know that they have some questions about how to avoid stress and burnout and
Uh huh.
stuff. You now what you've restructured your business model, and you're teaching as you're the productivity strategist.
Hmm.
I think that did I get this?
No.
Productivity and success coach. Leave me alone. And
Okay.
you work with business women who are also family, who are also mothers and different things like that, on how to reclaim their time and
Hmm.
manage it better. And you use some different tools. Can you
Right.
talk to us just a little bit about that, and some of the tools that we as individuals, although you've gone through so many of them,
Hmm.
some of the tools that we can use to identify burnout and start to help ourselves
Right.
get from it into a more balanced place.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things, the three core elements to creating more balance is learning how to manage yourself, learning how to manage others, and learning how to manage things.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a deficit in any of those areas, it causes chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can learn how to create a system for yourself, a plan, a schedule, routines, then again, it creates the freedom to take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to incorporate self-care. When you're managing others, then you have the energy when you're setting up those boundaries and you're aligning your yeses to what you want to do. Because oftentimes we're just saying yes,
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 to
yes.
yes.
And once you learn, like, this is where I want to go, I'm not saying yes to anything that doesn't align with where I'm trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so some good opportunities you have to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is a good opportunity, but it's out of alignment with me right
Mm-hmm.
now. And that is so hard.
It is.
It's
It is
so
so
hard to
hard.
do.
It's so hard to do.
Yes.
I had to pass on the tag talks that I said.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta say no. For right
Right.
now, I have to say no, which was a hard thing to do, but I have to say no.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when you learn how to do that, it creates freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It creates the opportunity for somebody else to take advantage of that,
Yes.
as well. And so then you have to learn to manage things, right? We got all these things around us, whether it's, if you're in the relationships or you have children, you have to learn how to manage all the things that come with that. And so that's what we talk about with the time management techniques. And so once you can get a hold on those three areas, you can start crafting and creating more balance in your life so you can have that downtime for your nervous system to reset. Because sometimes we just have to unplug. There's no, when you're in burnout, you can't sleep your way out of it.
No, you can't, because I think that's really depression.
Right.
When but you can't.
You can't
really
sleep your way out of it.
You have to make some changes, because if you don't, you're just going to keep on.
You just got to sleep and wake up tired. Sleep and wake up tired. Yeah.
Because that mind just goes and goes and goes. And if there's no change, no actual physical change in your daily routine, in your mindset, you're just setting yourself up to crash again. And so you use these tools, you help women implement these different tools in their life on a daily basis by doing different things such that they can stay out of the chaos and stay in balance. Because now you and I both know, just looking at our life the past couple of months, chaos does come. Right. Trouble does come. Right. But when you set these tools, when you set this foundation, you're able to face the situation.
Exactly, because you have some structure, and once you have the structure, it's easy to manipulate the pieces when you need to.
Yes.
But when there's no structure and you have nothing in place, then when situations come, then you're lost.
Yeah.
All the pieces fall apart because you don't have any kind of structure.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where the productivity piece comes in. So we know that we have to manage all of those areas. When we layer that with the productivity strategies and we start to build in those routines to set goals that are meaningful and in alignment, because if we spending time on frivolous goals, that's another thing that adds stress onto our plate, right?
Like, oh, am I really doing this?
Exactly, exactly. And not only things, relationships. Sometimes you got to cut off relationships that are not in alignment with where you're going.
Yes.
And that is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of the season is over and we're out of alignment now. And so that's how the productivity piece ties in with the creating the space so that you can take care of yourself.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. Carla, thank you so much. I mean, just so much stuff. And friend, you just sound so professional. And
what am I supposed to sound
like? Woo! You should sound like a whole expert over here. Okay.
Okay.
That's my friend, y'all. That's my girl.
She's
okay,
silly.
So we are going to get ready. Do you mind taking some questions
Not
from
at all.
our audience?
Absolutely.
I am excited about that. All of your questions, I want you guys to start dropping them in the chat. We are going to be right back with Carla, the productivity and success coach. Created NexLevel to help women ready to cross that bridge, get a vision of themselves, and take action to be who they know they want to be. What we do is we equip women with the tools they need to navigate their journey. You will hear from and engage with others that have successfully managed challenging situations. You will get help from people who are willing to help you turn your dream into reality. So you are never alone. Can you imagine getting support from women that you look up to? You can look back and realize that you went from a chaotic state of existing to a balanced life worth living. You are NexLevel. We are back and we are talking with productivity and success coach Carla Erskin about burnout. All right. And so now she is going to take some questions from our audience. So you guys go ahead and just continue to drop them in. Carla,
Yes.
How has your support system played a role in helping you achieve balance? And then there's a second part. You want me to read the second part
Uh-huh.
with it? Okay. Are there any particular networks or communities you recommend to other female entrepreneurs?
Oh, awesome. So my family and my friends, I could not have survived
We are
without
pretty
them.
cool.
Like
We are pretty wonderful.
like really I can send a text and get support anytime I need it, because again, like I said, I've been good steward of my relationships. Since I was a young girl, I valued friendships and relationships. So I make sure to keep my relationships intact. Those are really important to me. So yeah, I do have a great support system, but I also have an external support system of a community. I was in a mastermind, and so that was a great support system. I've met other entrepreneurs who understand what it's like to
Mm-hmm.
be in the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship in itself is already a tough boat. And so I've met women along the way, who helped me do that. There's an organization called Her Texas. They are actually having an event on the 15th of September, and this is a network of women in Texas. And anytime I can plug into a community,
Mm-hmm.
I do,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know when you're going to need support in different things. I volunteer at an agency called Wings, and so I get to pour into women in that organization, and so that also creates balance in my life, because it allows me to unplug from the idea of everything has to be money and monetized, and I just get to spend time with these women and love and pour into them. And so yeah, I have tons of groups that I connect with, and but my inner circle, my girls, Shantae, my friends, they help me a lot. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. For those already experiencing burnout, what are your top recommendations for recovery and regaining their passion for their work?
Oh yes, absolutely. So um, you have to decide what's important. So you
Mm-hmm.
start at the very top. What is my why? We're like, why am I here? And anything that's not in alignment to that, you have to let it go. I mean, anything that's not in alignment. We oftentimes we're holding on to things out of loyalty to different situations, and if you don't have the space in your life to allow room for you, you have to make some tough choices. You have to let some things go. Um, I had to one when I was just talking about the mastermind. I had to step away from the mastermind. I had to leave the mastermind because it was no longer in alignment with where I wanted to go. And I had tons of relationships I had formed there, and I still have some of them. But the time it was taken away from the things that I needed to do, I had to let it go. And so, first, you have to, again, focus on where you want to go, make a plan to get there, and anything
Mm-hmm.
out of alignment, you have to let it go. Set up daily routines. If you wake up with a plan and a purpose, you're much more likely to have a successful day than if you wake up and you're kind of winging it and going, whichever way the wind blows. Create opportunities for rest in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes before I started teaching, I would take an afternoon nap
Mm-hmm.
just to unplug and recharge and reset, and then I would go and work. And so one of the things that I do is that I look at the individual's lifestyle, and then we create a plan around that. Are they a business owner, or are they working? How can we structure their lives so that they have those opportunities to reset? Because you actually have to unplug from life for a period of time to allow your nervous system to reset. Because, like I said, burnout is not something you can just like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed early today and get some more sleep. No, you have to really have some downtime to unplug and refocus.
When you say unplug, tell me a little
Mm.
bit about, and I get it in the
Mm-hmm.
business sense. And when you're an entrepreneur, they really kind of mesh in together. But when you say unplug, to the females who are mothers and daughters
Right.
and wives and stuff. What exactly do you mean by that? As because I don't think
Right.
you mean just check out of your life, because you can't just check
Right.
out of life.
Right. You can't, but you can, right? Whether that's if you have a support system, whether that's saying, hey, can you have take the kids for the weekend? Whatever you need to do to create that time, because even if you're a mother and your wife, it's not going to do any good when you're in the hospital. You're going to take that time one way or the other.
Now that is true.
And so they're going to either be keeping the kids while you're in the hospital,
or the kids,
or they're going to be keeping the kids this weekend so you can rest and take a break. So, that's why having a support system is important, so that you can do that. If you don't absolutely can't do that, depending on the age of the kids, maybe you can say, hey, mama needs 2 hours of, me time. If there's not an emergency, handle it, really depending on how old the kids are. But I'm not a mother, so it's hard for me to identify with not having anybody who can watch your kids, because I've watched kids, and you watch kids.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have anybody, maybe even paying a daycare to keep them for a half a day or something, so that you can unplug. Just finding some solutions. Sometimes you got to get creative. There's agencies around the city that maybe have programs for kids that maybe you can, they can be over here doing that while you're getting some alone time. But I would definitely figure out a way to do that.
What and let me ask you this question while they're doing whatever they're doing. What all the women that because you've worked with a lot of women and you work with a lot of women, what have you noticed is one of the biggest causes of burnout in the women that you work with?
I work with a lot of women who are entrepreneurs, and that is the biggest source
Just
of burnout.
being a business owner.
Yes, trying to start a business, being the only person in the business, doing all the jobs of the business that they require, the content creator,
So what
everything.
is your recommendation for them when the business is not such that it can afford financially to hire other people to do things? So how do you help them manage that?
So one of the things I did in my business is I put out a post. I said, I will train you if you work in my business. If you want to learn these skills, I'll train you in exchange for you working for me for a certain amount of hours.
Oh, that's really good.
Right. And so I had a group of women who said yes. And so I would meet with them for 1 hour on like Monday, I believe, and we would train on Monday, and then they would give me like 5 hours of work time. And so sometimes you just got to get creative. Colleges have internship opportunities. You can connect with one of your local colleges and say, hey, this is the skill set I can teach a college student. In exchange, they work for me. So sometimes you got to get creative. If you have any amount of cash, then you can hire a VA. Offshore VA, you can get one for as little as $4 an hour. And, even if they're giving you 10 hours a week, that's $40. I'll go, and if I can make more than $4 an hour, I'll go make more than $4 an hour to pay them, for the hours they're going to work for me. So sometimes it's just a matter of creating room for, to be able to afford it or get creative. Like I said, you have older nieces and nephews who
put them to work, baby.
put them to work. Yeah, exactly.
I put everybody to work. What is one of the most creative things that you yourself have done to get your balance back, to reclaim your balance? Well, it's something very creative, and you got to take out our
Let me see. Creative. Oh my God. That's interesting. I have to think about that. I think putting I called it the VA exchange, putting that in place where the ladies came and worked for me in exchange for me teaching and coaching them. I think that was a creative endeavor. And I ended up having one worker. She was really good at podcasting, so she would write my show notes and post my podcast. So she was really helpful. What else? I think just being creative and coming up with a business model that works for me. I'm really good at creating products.
Mhm.
So that was one of the other piece that I added to the business was more products. So I came up with a bath and body line.
Oh yeah, I want to talk
Yeah.
about that. I want to
And
talk about that.
so that was a creative solution to create more income, passive revenue, in the sense that I don't have to constantly be showing up a certain way.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. That's a really good. I did a lot of the things that we know to do. You know,
Mhm.
I journaling, um, meditating. Um,
Do you teach any of those aspects of do you
yeah.
teach any of those in when you're working with your clients? Do you encourage them to journal and meditate and stuff like
Yes,
that?
absolutely. Those are highly effective in centering yourself
Mhm.
and creating more balance.
Mhm.
Yeah, so those two are really big. Also, I'm really into like music therapy,
Yeah,
and
you are.
so I will unplug from everything and just listen to music, so that it kind of takes me out of the current stress levels, and so I wouldn't say that they're necessarily creative in the foundation, but I think it's how you apply them that makes them creative. I know that women have different challenges, like we just talked about, that you have to wear a lot of different hats. And so it's about carving out the small pockets of time to, get some me time, you know?
How do you
Mhm.
manage your time successfully to keep that balance going in your life?
Right. So now that I have a regular schedule, pretty much 8 to 5, when I get home, I believe in creating a routine that cuts you off from work and starts your daily life. And this is really important if you work from home.
Mhm.
So I was telling somebody in our friend circle this because she works from home, and I was saying you have to create a boundary that says when work is over, I am going to do these things
Mhm.
that shifts my mindset from work to home. And so we ended up coming up with this idea of her taking a walk around the block.
Mm.
Like, okay, work is over. I'm going to take a walk around the block. When I get back home, now it's home time.
Okay, I
Cause,
like that
cause what
to
was happening
really.
was it was bleeding. It was like her work was bleeding over into home time, and then it was just a lot of chaos in that shift in between
Mhm.
getting off work and her family pulling her different directions because they're thinking she's off work and she's needing this decompression time.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the solutions we came up with for her. So like when you're off, take a walk around the block, reset your mind, get some me time. Then when you get back home, then the family can do what it needs to do.
I actually do that, and I actually leave going to the office and then coming home. But when I get home, I will go take a walk just to
Mhm.
reshift me and
Mhm.
then come on in, or I'll go out and sit on my patio for a
Mhm.
little bit to make that switch that I'm no longer working
Working
now
right.
and I'm in Shantae time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, I am in the busy season right now, and although I am burnt out, there are deadlines I have to meet.
Mm.
What are a couple of things I can do to decrease my stress and increase my productivity?
Right. So I have this theory called hustle and flow. Right. There are going to be times of hustle. There's going to be times where, like she said, she's in the busy signal season. But if she can schedule whenever she can, as soon as she can, some downtime, some flow time, whether that's bringing in some support and taking some time off, or it's letting your clients know, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. It's funny how business owners don't take vacations.
Yeah.
It's like when you're working 9 to 5, you take a vacation, but business owners will work consistently and not take a vacation. It's okay to tell your clients, I am going to be on vacation. I'm not going to be available from this day to that day.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't respect that, then you may want to, consider taking other types of clients. But you deserve to take some downtime, even when you're a business owner. If you're in the business season, you're in the hustle season, you're launching, you have something going on, still cut work off at a certain time and allow yourself to rest. Whether that's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I used to work a 12 to 8 shift. cut business off, cut work off, and get some rest. Because if you don't, your body's going to eventually take what it needs.
And I also think that because rest is, and we talk about this, and we
Mm-hmm.
talk about this quite often, how important rest is. And I don't play with my rest because
Right.
it allows you to reset.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep going and never take that time to reset, period, I don't care even if it's in the business or what, there is no way for you to be, you move out of your creativity
Right.
state.
You can't show up. Right.
You move out of you move out of the place where things can flow and
Mm-hmm.
you can give.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And we spend a lot of time, especially as women, because a lot of our audience are not business owners. They're mothers, and they do work and different things like that. So just bringing them in, because they can use these tools.
Absolutely.
Also, you have to, if you don't take the time, honestly, if you do not take the time to stop and, as you say, unplug and reset, you cannot be there. You cannot show up. You cannot be at your best self for everyone else.
Right. And so one of the things we talk about, like you just said, especially, for business owners, to be a CEO, you have to operate with a certain level of creativity. And when you're burned out and you're stressed, you can't see the solutions because you're working in the business, and so you can't work on the business because you're in the employee mode all the time. So you can never step into the CEO mode. Same thing with women who have corporate jobs or just regular jobs. If you're always in work and hustle mode, you can't see the opportunities. You can't see the goals. You can't see the dreams. You can't implement what you need to get to the next level if you're always in like survival mode.
Yeah. And even one of the things that I've learned, and we're about to wrap it up because I want to talk briefly about, I want you to share your
Okay.
about your product line. The answers to just everyday life and what's the next step.
Right.
Just in life, period. Where should I go? What should I do? Should I accept this? Just different things, just those natural answers, even in relationships.
Right.
It's hard to get those answers and allow God to download that into you if you are not taking the time to,
if you're always at capacity.
There's no, and then people can't even pour into you when you're, again, at capacity, and you've given no room and no space to breathe and unplug, and then you find yourself broken and in the hospital and looking
stuck in bad relationships and stuck in bad jobs and stuck in bad situations. Yeah.
How did I get here and how do I get out? Well, the answer, if we will take the time to step back, and one of the things we talk about here at NexLevel is awareness. Take the time to step back, as you said, where am I and where am I going? How is this aligning with who I am and what it is that I want?
Absolutely.
But you have to, as you said, you have to create time and create space to allow yourself to ask those questions and receive the answer.
Right. So one of the things I talk about, one of the concepts is majoring in the minors. Spending too much time on doing the most on the least. We do that a lot, right? And so when I look at a woman's schedule, whether she's a business owner or not, we look at, where are you spending time? Are you spending a lot of time on things that are not important? Because we do that often, right? We spend a lot of time on things that are not important, that are not moving the needle. So we're majoring in the minors instead of putting our time and our energy and our focus on things that actually get us from where we want to go, point A to point B, whether that's in work or in relationships. And then when we don't do that and we're at capacity all the time, then we end up stuck in jobs, stuck in relationships and situations.
And resenting people, and resenting the people that we love, and snapping, so we're in that chaos. And I absolutely have enjoyed our conversation, and I love all of these great tips that you have given to help women, in particular business women, but women in general, because everybody can use these to step out of, and that's what when something is good, when principles are universal, they can
Mm-hmm.
be applied to everything. The truth
Absolutely.
never changes. And
Exactly.
that's how you know it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Carla, I appreciate you so much. I do. I appreciate you so much for coming and talking with our audience and helping them out, because I think well, one, all of us experience burnout and
Mm-hmm.
stress, and we all need this type of information and these tools. One of the things that you, as we talked about briefly, one of the things that you have created, because
Mm-hmm.
you've created your spa line and
Mm-hmm.
your Bossingly boutique is I think, because I did do a little bit of research, and she is my girl. But you've created some bath salts and different things
Mm-hmm.
like that to help women unplug. So tell
Right.
us a little bit about that real
Right.
quick.
So one of the big things when it comes to finding balance is self-care,
Mm-hmm.
and making time for self-care. And so I wanted women to be intentional about their bath time. And so I created this line of products, this Bossy and Balanced line. And each scent, there's a Bossy scent and a Balanced scent. The Balanced scent promotes uh, calming. It's more of a calming scent, whereas the Bossy scent is more energizing, because you have to have that yin and yang,
Yeah.
right? And so I want just women to be more intentional. Like, if you're gonna spend some time taking a bath, make
Make it.
it, yeah, make it some me time, make it
Yeah.
personal. And so I really love the products. The
Yeah.
bath salt and the shower gel work really well together, because I also mix them and make like a scrub.
Uh-huh.
And so that's one of the recipes that I have, is that you can mix the salt with the shower gel and create a scrub. And so just making bath time, if you like, I can't have any time, you're gonna take a bath.
That you are.
So
Mhm.
make that your time. If that's all you can squeeze in a little bit of intentional bath time.
And you can order. They can order the Bostonly and
Bossy and
Boston
Balance,
Balance
yes.
products, the bath salts, along with some journals,
Uh huh.
and all sorts of stuff. They can go to the
Boss,
store.
the
Tell us.
Bossingly is bossingly.com, bossingly.com /shop. And that is where you can find the products.
And for anyone, and I think we have it up on the screen now, for anyone who wants to work with you,
Yes.
why don't you tell us how they can connect with you?
So we have a membership. It is the Bossy and Balance membership, and it is for women who want to create more balance in their lives. And so we meet twice a month, and we're basically creating the space and the opportunities and the alignment that we talked about, right? Another way you can work with me one on one is just like, Carla, I don't know how to get out of the situation I'm in. I can come in, we can sit down together, look at your lifestyle, look at your priorities, look at your responsibilities, and create something that's custom for you. And we do that in a 90-minute one-on-one strategy session.
All right, all
Yeah.
right, all right, all right. And you can follow Carla at
The Productivity Chick.
there you go. You know what? I think I put Boston. No, I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know.
But if they put in Bossingly, they'll get to me. They'll still get to me.
And tonight, Carla is gifting one of our audience members with one of her Bossy and Balanced success planners. Hey, 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 which is full of some great stuff. A monthly brain dump, weekly test. I think I have one of these. Just I'm excited and I thank you for it. Our winner tonight of this is Micah Carter. Micah Carter.
Mika.
Oh, Mika. That's Mika.
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 No, you
That's
don't
not who
know
I
her.
know. Mika Carter. I called her Micah. Sorry, Mike. Mika. What is it?
Mika.
I'm so bad with names. Mika, you are the winner of tonight's Bossy and Balanced Success Planner. We will get your address, please. I think our producer has already reached out to you to get your address. We will get this mailed off to you. I want to thank all of you for joining us on tonight. I want to thank Carla again for coming and giving us such amazing wisdom. For our new viewers, thank you for joining us. You can connect with us in all of our social media platforms, Next Level Conversations. I want to remind you to go and download issue 2 of Next Level magazine. If you go and download the magazine now, you can save 66% off. So we do have a special running. I also want to remind you all that we do drop a podcast every Wednesday. So go and follow us on YouTube. Just amazing tools and stories that we share, just like we did tonight. Tonight, if you were blessed by anything that was said, go share it with 5 people. Just go share something. Let them know what you've heard tonight. Until next week, I want to thank you and let you know that I love you. Go be great.